Oops, I probably should have set up the phone before I started doing this. Oh well. Today I'm working on my Ahsoka Tano belt. Oh, here we go. Let's try. There we go. That's better. If you follow me on Instagram, this is something I started working on just the other day, but after finishing what I did the other day, I found that hemming was not the best solution for what I wanted to do with this. So I had to tear out all my stitches. You can kind of see from the, well, maybe you can see, I don't know, the camera's that good. From the folds here and stuff. Basically what happened is once I hemmed it, the entire thing, this is supposed to be the outside here, it would have been hemmed like so, but it just kept curling under because the microfiber suede or whatever I got here didn't really hold up to being hemmed and staying flat, which is not the desired effect for this underbelt. So what I'm going to do instead, I cut a second one. I'm going to sew them together with the right sides facing in. Once I do that, I'm going to flip it around. I think one's slightly bigger than the other. There we go. Once I do that, then I'm going to find some interfacing to iron on the inside here in between where the seams are. I don't have it right now. I'm going to have to go buy some. All of the interfacing I have is much stiffer than I'm going to need for this. This doesn't need to be a real stiff thing. It just needs to be a little extra support. So the thin iron-on interfacing will do the trick, which I'll have to go and buy at a later date because I haven't been to Joann's in a few weeks. Well, yeah, I haven't been to Joann's in a few weeks, and I haven't been to Joann's since I decided to change this. So, once that's done, then I will turn the entire thing inside out from one of the ends here. I'll leave one of the ends open, which probably this one since I'm starting here. And then once I've got it flipped inside out, it'll be much stiffer and keep the shape that I want it to. So we will just go ahead and start. Everything's still lined up. Make sure the tension is good. One thing I was pretty lucky about is that since this is a microfiber cloth, you can't see the holes that I poked from my previous attempt at hemming very well because this is a very forgiving fabric. So it's not like if I were to be doing silk brocade or wax canvas where you poke a hole in it and it stays there absolutely forever and, well, you're screwed. You got to get a new fabric. threads that I missed when I was tearing out the previous sewing. Oh, and then here what I'm doing, to reiterate, I've got the needle down, pinched through the fabric. Most sewers know this trick, but I suppose newbies do not. Then you just lift up the foot, and I can pivot it at a 90-degree angle without the thread getting mushed up at the bottom and creating spaghetti or losing my place. Or anything like that, and then you don't have to try and turn a corner while it's moving, which is hard and impossible if you want actually a straight, perfect corner. Sorry, my pedal's not where I want it to be. And yeah, the whole reason I hand wheel so that I can get those extra stitches just right to the edge where I want it. So when I turn it, the fabric is right aligned with the side of the foot, which is the hem distance that I'm going for currently. Make sure everything's flat. I don't want it bubbling up in the middle. That would be bad when I turn it inside out, then one side will have more fabric than the other. You might have noticed while I was doing the other side here, there are some spots where I've got little notches or V's. Well, I guess V's are like notches. These are more just like cuts. I'd done that to try and get the fabric to lay flat as I curled it under when I was doing the hemming. Usually that works. It didn't work very well with this fabric. It's probably because it's got a bit of a stretch to it. Just a little, or just because it's really floppy, or maybe I didn't make enough notches. Either way, the hemming just didn't do what I wanted it to, so we're not doing that anymore. Sorry, just checking here to make sure I had double stitched the end, which I did. And there's a bit of a loop that I didn't want. Okay. have it. Nice, evenly done from the edge. Well, from one of the edges. As you can see, they don't quite match up because I just traced the other one using the first one, which is the greatest thing to do, but like this is all going to be hidden on the inside of the piece, so it doesn't matter. If it ends up being kind of bubbly when I do turn it inside out, I can always do another top stitching, which will end up being just on the inside here, of course on the other side, to keep the edges nice and crisp. Like I said, since I don't have the interfacing, I'm done with this particular item for the day. Oops. See all my junk over there. Let's see, I'll just trim the edges. Okay, and then we'll move to my table, which is also filled with junk. So exciting. Here we have the other part of the belt. Okay. This would probably be better here so I can see what I'm doing and not just assume like, oh, is what I'm showing you on camera? I don't know. Now it will be. Maybe. If we can get it to work correctly. There we go. That's better. This is a blank belt that I bought from Tandy Leather. It is enormous. As you can see, here's my waist. I can wrap it around more than twice, which is way more than I need. Let's see. This is going to be the overbelt. And I haven't done this before, so this should be interesting. My husband assured me that I will not asphyxiate myself doing this in the house, so we're going to give it a try. It is a leather dye. So I'm just going to go ahead and dye the entire belt before I cut it up, which will hopefully not leave like weird uncolored ends. If it does, I'll just re-dye those ends once I cut it, because I really don't know exactly how long all the pieces I want to do will be, because it's going to have one piece that goes all the way around. There's going to be an opening in the back with like a larger item that I'm going to have to do with another piece of leather, but we've got extra in the basement, and that's what I'll use for that. And then it's going to have these little kind of loopies or something that will attach to the center ring on the belt, and that's also how the hip armor will attach. The table expanded. This is a very long belt, and I don't want it hanging off the table while it's being dyed. It's actually longer than the table, just a little bit. We'll get some newsprint paper so that I don't dye my table. Not that it entirely matters. There's like a little, I've already marked it up with markers and things. Either way, I don't want big brown stains on it. Why are you using newsprint from a notepad, you may be wondering. Well, we just recently threw out all of our junk mail, and I don't really want to go digging through the trash. Also, I'm 35. I don't have a subscription to the newspaper. If I want to read an article, I just go on the internet like most people my age. Plus, this notebook was like $2, and I bought it over a decade ago, and it still has all this paper left, so this is fine. Oh, should be doing this a little smarter. Putting it, it's just putting them vertically. Put them horizontally. Good job, dummy. Sorry, trying to figure out what's in that bag. It's the receipt. Okay. Instructions. Shake well. Bye-bye sponge. I'm gonna have to go and get a sponge. It's one thing I don't actually have up here. But we have sponges in the basement, so it's cool. I think I don't have a sponge. No, I don't have a sponge. I've got toothbrushes and paintbrushes, but no sponge. All right. Distribute even circular motion, allow dry and buff. So this will be an experiment for everyone. Had it clear away before. I will just take this with me so you're not sitting here dead air while I go and get the sponges. Now every time we go to Dick Blick or Harbor Freight, they have like a giant bag of sponges on stick. Sponges on a stick on sale at like for like $1 or whatever. So I know we have them. I just have to discern. Here we go. My husband's. That'll work. Organization system. Or lack thereof. You didn't hear me say that? That one actually was in the drawer. It was labeled as, though, so I'll give him credit for that. Sometimes he rearranges them, and then I don't know where it was. Okay, back to what we were doing. Okay, let's see. It says tear. fingernail strong enough? It doesn't feel like it. Get a little screwdriver. There we go. Press in and turn. Oh, okay, cool. It's got like this little locking lid and squirt thingy. Make sure this is open. Oh, good job. I tried to keep it all over the newspaper and I failed. But at least the newspaper's doing its job. Yes, I'm glad I doubled up on that. Get that extra with the tissue. I'll have to come back with some cleaner later. Circular motions, it says. Right? Distribute evenly. Well, circular is really hard with a long skinny thing like this, so I'm gonna do back and forth and hope it turns out okay, because it's a lot easier to distribute evenly like this. Got a whole lot in the middle here because I squirted way more than I wanted to. Good news, my husband was right. I am not asphyxiated currently. This doesn't have a really strong smell to it. Let's get some extra newspaper. See if we can dab a really thick spot. It's coming off here. Really thick. Sorry, I got some dog hair in my mouth. It's interesting. It's dye, but not seeing it totally penetrate the side, like a fabric dye would. So I'll have to probably go back and do the edges when the top's a little more dry, because I don't really want to handle it with the top still having all the juicy stuff on it. Well, it's definitely dark brown. There is that. Oh no. I should have started on the end. Oh well. We'll be able to pick that part up. It's fine. There we go. See the part I'm working on a little bit better. And if I fail miserably, then you know what? I'll just have an extra belt, I guess. starting to fall off the edge. Okay. I guess we'll do this in sections since I cannot quite do the entire thing out flat unless I was going to go and like use my dining room table, which is definitely not something I want to do. Like if I get this all messy, whatever, it's just a craft table. As long as it's not getting the fabric that I cut on it stained brown months later, then I'm fine. Sorry, I don't know if you can see this side of the screen very well, because I've got it on my cell phone and the chat is there. So I don't know how it shows up, like when you're watching, or if the chat's collapsible. I suppose it probably is, and I don't need to keep turning everything so far center. But whatever. Just as another reminder, love to hear from you guys, to let me know what you enjoy seeing me doing, what like angle you like watching the sewing from, perhaps. Is it best from the front? Is it best from the back? Does it depend on what I'm doing? There it is. Dog hair in my mouth. Was it the same dog hair as earlier? I don't know. Maybe. This is what happens when you have a dog that won't let you brush her fur, and she just gets mad. Because she's gonna be 12 this year, so she's a grumpy old lady. Well, the part that I spilled has it on the side. Pretty nice. Oh yeah, you could always tell me if I'm talking too much. If you don't want to hear the explanations of what I'm doing and you'd rather do just like the little ASMR craft thing where people are like completely silent and working on things, I can do that too. It just felt weird not explaining what I was doing, so that's why I started doing that. Oh, whoops. I pressed too hard. Now I have a stick. I suppose next time I will need to use gloves because I don't have my sponge on a stick anymore. I don't have any gloves handy, so, or else I'd put them on right now. There we go, I've got some brown fingers. I'll have to steal them from my husband's stash. He's got them out in the garage. probably can't see it very well from this angle, but there are some spots that are definitely lighter brown than others, and so I'm trying to hit those up with the extra dye to get it more even. God, that middle section is just black. It's a good thing this thing is so long. Maybe I'll be able to do that in a spot that gets cut out or covered or something like that. But the other section's trying a little better. We'll look at it from this view. Here we go. Because I don't have a long enough table, we'll do this part later. And I'll stop here for now. But yeah, you can see it's a little bit different colored here. I don't know if that's because I missed this spot or if it's just drying. We will find out in like a day or so. And then over here, yeah, you can see where it's definitely dark brown. And then, terrible, I messed up real bad section. And then it gets more into brown again. Here where I did this and it's probably drying. So we'll find out how this turns out later. Yeah. Leave my sponge. Let's see. Oh, I'm dyeing my little stand here. I should go wash my hands. Let's see. So you can go ahead and I don't want to turn down things. There we go. You can watch them paint dry. I will be right back and wash my hands. Okay, well, I've definitely stained some fingernails, maybe a little bit. Oh, it's not as bad as I thought. But that was a learning experience, like I said. Let's get the cap back on this guy. And there's not much else to do here, but to let it dry. Yeah, that was all I had for the belt today, because that was all I had for the belt today, because the other one didn't take very long, and I don't have the supplies for the rest of it. Feels like that went by really quick. I guess there's one other thing I could work on, that is not technically Ahsoka, but to do that, I'm going to have to change my sewing machine out. Let's move this belt over here where it won't get stained brown. The stupid thing is I had my serger up, but I just moved it so I could work on the belt. So this is just a never-ending process. Maybe someday I will have more room, or like I'll get rid of my big computer desk that I don't use a whole lot, or we'll rearrange the house, or I don't know, and I'll get a second sewing desk so I can have one for each sewing machine. And it'd be like at work where it's like, oh yeah, the sewing machine is attached to the table. But until that day comes, do this. It was quicker when I used to use that table for sewing, because I would just take one off and put the other one on. But I really like this sewing table better because it's lower to the ground, so I'm not sewing with just my tippy toes on the pedal. And I'm able to make the machine more flush with the rest of it because of this drop down section. The problem is with this machine, it's a lot lower profile than my serger, so they are at different rungs in this little drop down, and the serger just goes on the bottom, which is really easy, and it stays flat and it's all cool. But with the regular machine, it's 2 rungs up and the whole thing wobbles, so I have to tighten it. Fortunately, I don't have to spend time changing out the thread because I just did that when I was serging something for a friend yesterday. I was helping him work on, he's making a Star Killer Sith Stalker. It's like a character from one of the Star Wars video games, which are not my forte, so I'm not very familiar with the characters. But basically, it's this Jedi Sith. Well, I guess he's not a Jedi if he's a Sith. That's a dumb thing to say. He's this Sith character who dresses kind of like a Tusken Raider for some reason. Whatever. It's going to be a cool build. He's real proud of it. I'm just helping him with some sewing stuff. Okay. Come on. There's the hook. Okay. Here we have a giant pile of white fabric. That is my senatorial Leia dress. It's already a finished costume. I've got it actually approved through Rebel Legion. I didn't build this one myself. I kind of lucked out with it. There's a gal in the Leia build group on Facebook who had built it for herself, but it ended up being way too short for her because she's taller than me. Because of that, I had to go in and actually shorten the sleeves, which the part where I shortened is now coming undone. So you have to do what I did back then and open up the bottom of the dress so I can get at that section. See if I can't find the same section I got into last time. And that'll be it. The way the senatorial Leia dress is constructed is it's got a lining, but it is called self-lined. So that's why up at the top here, there's no seam at the shoulders. Because it's basically like folded onto itself, and then the only place it's sewn together is at the bottom and its sleeves, but the sleeves of course have an invisible stitch because it's from the inside. Okay, come on, what's going on? stitches. Most people will make this dress out of a jet set fabric, which is apparently a polyester. It's kind of shiny and lighter weight. It's polyester. This is definitely like a cotton jersey knit or a blend of some kind, which makes it actually very heavy. It's not uncomfortable to wear or anything, and it's actually kind of nice in cold weather because it's not as cold as it could be. But it sucks when I'm trying to like wash it or store it because it's so heavy. Hanging it, I'm afraid, stretches it out. And washing it wouldn't be that bad. I could probably wash in the machine, but the problem would be drying it because I don't want it to shrink in the dryer, and I don't want to hang dry it because it's so heavy and it's so long that I don't really have anywhere to lay it flat to dry. Plus that would make it wrinkly, which is why I just get this dry cleaned. Although I always confuse the poor dry cleaners, and they're like, where's the tag? And I'm like, this is handmade. There is no tag. I've got to make a hole big enough that I can pull a bunch of fabric through it. You can kind of tell which part I sewed before because it looks like I used a much smaller stitch length than the person who made this dress, so they are slightly different. If you've never sewn before, one of the things you learn first and quickly through repetition is how to rip a stitch. Because as a beginner, I mean, I don't know, maybe people didn't have to do that when they like learned from a class or something. But as somebody who's just like, oh, I'll just figure it out as I go, you rip a lot of stitches and have to redo them. It happens. That's why starting with a fabric that is forgiving, like that microfiber or this cotton knit, is really great because you can sew it and then rip the stitches and sew it again and rip the stitches, and you don't have those holes there forever because they kind of disappear after it's been tugged one way or the other. Like, I can still see the holes as I'm ripping this out, but they're not really obvious, and if I steamed this or washed it, it would go away. Oh, my husband's sending me random texts. He must have woke up from his nap. He was napping earlier. I think that's a big enough hole. Okay. Now, I need to identify what needs to be repaired. Let's see. That's okay. Looks like it's just the one sleeve, although this has got a weird lip to it, so I might go back and mess with that sleeve too. But we'll start with the one where the stitching came undone. right here. This isn't really the greatest setup because I've actually got this sitting on a little shelf that is actually part of the machine, but whatever, it doesn't seem to be straining it. I feel like this is a better view of what I'm doing. Oh wow, that's some garbage tension. I might just rip this out and redo the whole thing. This is, I didn't use my serger a whole lot back then, and I didn't understand tension very well, so that's why it looks not great. It should not be sticking up from the fabric like this. That's the part I ripped, but trying to get it to focus on that part. There we go. It should be flush. And that's probably why it came undone. But hey, like I said, I was very new to serging when I'd made these fixes. Yeah, like this one thread, I'm just pulling at it and it's coming out. It's squishing all the fabric together, but you know, it's just coming out. There we go. Put it in the trash can. And when one comes out, then the other two will come out pretty easily too. And then here, where I pulled it, that's actually more what it's supposed to look like, where it's tight against the fabric. That doesn't look the greatest, but that's because the only reason it's flush is because I took one thread and I pulled it. Yeah, see, this is kind of weird, because, weird to sew, because we've got one sleeve here, and one sleeve here, and they make one tunnel when they're inside out, so there's a lot of trying to figure out where the fabric goes without trying to sew it together in the wrong way. Actually, but here's a better edge that's serged. These were made by the person who made the garment, who knew how to use a serger way better than me at the time. This is probably boring because you can't quite see what I'm doing because it's on the other side of the fabric. But I don't know of a good way to attach the camera to my face so you can see what I'm seeing and what I'm doing from my point of view. Sorry. Maybe someday I'll get like a fancy camera arm or something. To come through here with a vacuum later. Last time I made this fix, since I was shortening the sleeves, I didn't have to tear out all of the fabric. Or tear out all the stitching because the serger has a little arm that cuts off the ends, but I don't want to make these sleeves any shorter than they already are, so that's why I'm tearing out the stitches, and then I will show you the little thing that cuts on my serger and how I move it so that it doesn't cut. I'll just go ahead and start sewing, actually. Oh, hey! I got somebody that said hello. Hello, Cake Boss! No, the one I'm doing right now is not an Ahsoka. I actually was working on that earlier, and I finished, and I was like, this was a really quick stream, so I'm just doing a repair to my Princess Leia dress right now, because after wearing it to a bunch of different troops and stuff, one of the seams came undone. And I was like, yeah, we'll just work on that for a little bit. Oh, there's another person talking too. That's cool. People in the chat. All right, we'll start here because I don't want to redo or undo the rest of the stitching and then lose where these need to line up. Oh, right. And this is the little cutting foot. I can just turn it up, so then it will not make my sleeves any shorter than they need to be. I guess if you were not here earlier, the Ahsoka stuff I was working on was this belt, and then I sewed this guy together. But I can't continue working on this one because I need to buy something to put on the inner spacing, and this needs to dry. But yeah, going back to the sewing. But yeah, you'll be able to like go and watch from the beginning of the stream for a while. I don't know why it disappears after a week. I might have to figure out a way to upload them to YouTube so people can watch if they want. Oh, okay. This is making the whole thing jiggle. That's probably not a good thing. Try from this angle. Oops. Sorry, I'm really not good at this. There we go. There we go. That's much better as far as tension goes than it was before. don't know if you're seeing much from that angle. Sorry. I can try the other one. It just shakes a bunch. We'll have to figure out a more elegant solution to this later. Coming around to this part again. Tear this out. Oh, there's more stuff in the chat. Who's my favorite Star Wars character? That's tough. I do like Princess Leia a lot because she's just, you know, a total boss. Ahsoka's really cool. I didn't discover her until much later when I was older because I didn't grow up watching Clone Wars or anything like that. Those two are probably some of my favorite right now. I know. Okay. So one I say I identify most with is maybe Jyn Erso. Because I really, really like Rogue One. That is my favorite movie. That is one character I don't have a costume for, though. Working on the Ahsoka, and I'm working on an armorer who I love because she's a cool Mandalorian matriarch. But personality-wise, I probably like Bo-Katan better because the armor is cool, but she's totally a cult leader. That one I'm waiting for my husband to finish the actual armor pieces before I continue. Well, it's actually almost finished. The only things I'd have left to sew is the fur cape and, I got the fur cape, sewing the fur cape onto the rest of the costume, and then I've got some stuff to do with the shoulder pauldrons, which are not attached yet. There's just so many awesome ladies in Star Wars. It's really hard to choose. Do you guys have favorite Star Wars characters? If you do, let me know. That's always fun. Okay. I'm getting kind of tired of cutting the fabric. So the stitching, so we're going to do the rest the lazy way. And there we go. That's a repaired sleeve. That's, I think, all I'm going to do for today, since I did totally go off topic from my original title of my stream, working on Ahsoka. I don't have anything else to work on for Ahsoka today, because my cutting table is completely taken over by a drawing belt, so I can't cut the sleeves, which I'm really not ready to sew yet anyway. and I gotta go get some interfacing, and then I'll have to iron that onto the belt. I will try to do another live stream next week. I know my schedule says 1 o'clock on Saturday, and I have yet to actually do that because I'm really bad with time. And it's like I'll wake up and I'll shower, and then I'll be like, yeah, I'm gonna go and stream, and then I eat lunch and get lazy. But I will try to do that again next week, and we'll go from there. Let me know what sort of things you like to see. If you want to see me doing other stuff. Oh, sorry, I've got a bunch of junk in the inside of my machine here. If you want to see me doing some other stuff, I've got a bunch of different characters on the back burner. Let's see, what do I have on the back burner? Like I said, I've got the armor, I've got Ahsoka, I've got a Hoth / Bespin escape Leia that I'm working on, Mom from Futurama. Let me know what you'd like me to see you do, all that good stuff. So I will see you guys next week. Bye.